Medical schools are typically more willing to have a conversation with you pre-applicant, right? Before you are an actual applicant to their school. Ask Dr. Gray Pre-Med Q&A sponsored by Blueprint MCAT. How are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm excited. How are you?
I'm excited too. I'm excited to help you out. What can I help you with?
Yes. So I have watched a lot of your old pre-meds podcast videos.
Okay.
And I noticed that for a lot of people, maybe who are in the same position, didn't do so well in undergrad, and they can't get their undergraduate GPA above their undergraduate science GPA above a 3.0 GPA.
Yeah.
You said to advocate for yourself.
Yeah.
My question for you is, when is an appropriate time to ask medical school admissions committee members when they're not so busy, reviewing applications, interviewing people, getting ready for the next cycle? So that I don't bother them at an inappropriate time, but also so that I can get an answer that's not like, please check our website, or I don't know what answer they would give me, but
oh, I do.
A generic response like,
yeah,
we do it holistically.
Yeah, and that actually is the most common response you'll get, unfortunately, because medical schools just don't like to put themselves out on a limb and go, but you told me you were going to look and you didn't, and then they get in trouble with the legal department, and it's a mess. You gotta love the legality of the litigious society that we live in here in the U.S. But anyway, ideally, what you can do is before you apply, before the application cycle, because the rules of engagement are different pre-application and post-application, meaning like you're in this cycle. Medical schools are typically more willing to have a conversation with you pre-applicant, right? Before you are an actual applicant to their school. And so you can reach out to them and be strategic and don't just email 100 schools, but be strategic and say, hey, University of Florida, I'm really interested in your school because of XYZ. Here's a little bit of my story. I'm worried because of XYZ that I'm just going to be filtered out, even though I have this prolonged kind of upward trend. What should I do? Right? And try to be strategic with who you're asking and why you're asking, just giving a little bit of the story, not a whole long kind of biography of who you are, autobiography in that case, of who you are, and see if they'll respond to that. A lot of students, unfortunately, either give way too much information, and medical schools are like, I don't have time to read this, or they give too little information, and they don't give the schools an opportunity to actually provide decent advice or information specific to you. And so that's what I would recommend, at least thinking about how to start.
I guess a follow-up question would be, I originally thought that I was going to be applying 2022 to 2023 cycle, but it's looking, because I'm applying to a formal postbac 2023 to 2024. So would like now maybe be a good time to start talking to those medical schools admissions committee members, if I could narrow it down?
I don't think it's ever too early to start having those conversations. So yeah, I don't think that's an issue. So talk to me. Even if you do a formal postbac, your science GPA is still going to be less than a 3?
Yeah, unfortunately, I had a really rough semester when I was on academic probation. So my cumulative GPA was still okay by university standards, like above a 2.0. But for that particular semester, it was 1.8. And when I actually started using MAPT to look at my science GPA and my cumulative GPA, I honestly didn't think it was like that bad. I was like, okay, obviously it needs work. Thought that I was starting off at a 2.8 science GPA. It's 2.41. I've taken a few classes. I've done well in them, but because I've just taken so many science units, credits, it'll be probably like a 2.9 science, and then above a 3 for cumulative. So that's kind of the situation I'm in. I've done... Oh, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
I've done a sort of science-based master's. It's biomedicine and law. But from watching your videos, I didn't know about you at the time when I was doing my master's, or at least starting my master's. So I know that medical schools tend to heavily concentrate on the undergrad courses. And part of the reason I'm doing a formal post-bac is because I don't think that doing these science classes, unfortunately, from my understanding of your videos, would be best done at a community college. I think I would need to do a formal post-bac and just try to focus as much as I can on these undergrad courses and the MCAT.
Yeah. So it's interesting that the master's that you did sounds. So let me rewind a little bit. Yes, I typically say medical schools, from what I see, from what I hear, talking to them, talking to students, undergraduate coursework seems to be more heavily weighted. And so that's not to say that you can't go do a hard sciences master, do well, and really help that overcome your undergraduate GPA. Obviously, you can still do that. It may limit the schools that are going to look at that or give you an opportunity. Your master's is a little bit weird because it has that law part in there. And so schools are going to scratch their head going, is this really a hard sciences? Is it not? How much weight should we give this when looking at really what is a really low science GPA? And so I would probably agree that a post-bac is right for you. Now, I don't know if I would agree that community college versus a formal post-bac, like needing to do a formal post-bac, is necessary. Again, I think there may be some schools out there that look at a community college post-bac in your situation and go, I don't know. Did she choose community college because that was the quote unquote easier route and that's just easier for her to get better grades, right? You'll always have those naysayers out there. But I don't like to tell students go do the formal post-bac because that's a lot more money typically than just going to a community college. And typically going to community college provides more flexibility to keep a job, to keep doing research, whatever it is you're doing, because the courses, the class schedule is a little bit more flexible than potentially a formal post-bac. So I think if I were in your shoes, I would look at just my general situation. Can I afford to do a formal post-bac? Does my life and my current situation allow me to do that? Or am I really putting myself in a hard situation and sacrificing a ton to go do this formal post-bac when I would be much more happy doing a community college post-bac, a do-it-yourself post-bac? So just some more context around what you were saying there.
I agree with what you're saying. I think what really drew me to the formal post-bac was that I feel like I need structure in terms of what classes to be taking. It comes with advising, and it also comes with a linkage program. This is to say, if I get into the formal post-bac program, I'm sort of at that stage where I think I need all the help that I can possibly get. And I've also checked a couple of schools I was looking into on their MSAR, and they had specifically put like an X on the community college coursework for their prereqs. So, I was thinking about.
We got to start calling out those schools because there's no reason schools should be rejecting community college coursework anymore. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, but it is what it is, right? Like you got to play.
Got to play by their rules. Yes, exactly. Yeah. Unfortunately. Okay, so it sounds like you're thinking through it really well and doing the research, and I'm glad that MAPT helped you kind of see, because a lot of students are in similar situations to you of like, well, I think my GPA is okay, it's really not that bad, and then you actually plot it out and you're like, oh crap, oops.
Yeah, but thankfully, it wasn't like right before I applied.
Yeah.
Like I'm still several cycles away, so just try to do my best.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else I can answer for you?
No, that's about it. I guess I just gotta start doing the work, right?
Gotta start doing the work. What are you gonna do for the MCAT besides listening to the MCAT podcast that I do with Blueprint?
Besides that, I was thinking Jack Weston, definitely, and Monkey flashcards, just for route memorization for those key concepts.
Yeah. Definitely. Well, as we're recording this, it's still a little bit of a secret, so don't tell anyone. But when this episode comes out, it'll be announced that Blueprint has a lot of amazing flashcards that they're getting into the flashcard game. So
Great.
when you're watching this later on YouTube, or whoever's watching this or listening to this later, go check out Blueprint's flashcard product that they've announced recently.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get as many practice problems because I've learned when I finally got my act together, learned how I learn. I definitely realized that I'm the type of person that needs to constantly do practice problems and review them in order for the knowledge to solidify.
Yep, that's good. That's a good way to study for the MCAT. So good luck to you. Hopefully this was helpful for you to give you a boost in the right direction.
Thank you.
You are welcome.